Welcome to the Business Show, the place where business minds share their biggest highs, toughest lows, and everything in between. Join us as we dive into the journey of entrepreneurs,
Hello and
uncovering the
welcome to the
stories,
Business and Enterprise
secrets,
Pod,
and
the show where we
strategy.
spotlight exciting student ventures and explore how bright ideas become successful businesses. I'm Tavisha, and today we're joined by the founders of StrideSense, a
So my name is Ahmed,
My name is Mustafa.
and we're glad to be here.
So could you just start by telling us what StrideSense is all about and how it came about, your idea?
Okay, so it all started back in year 12 when me, Mustafa, and our other co-founder, Mariam, we sat together and we realized we want to start a project where we do more than just simple research and in a topic that we're not interested in and it's just like superficial. We wanted to do something actually meaningful. So we realized that we want to do something that's close to all of us in terms of our day-to-day life, where we notice that our own loved ones struggle with mobility issues, with joint pain, and overall health issues. So we decided to tackle a common issue of managing a common condition called knee osteoarthritis. And from there, it kind of took shape into our business. And
It was really important to us that the project could be expanded. So it was never really made for just one single instance. Like we made it and we were ready to put it into whatever channel it can go through. And that's exactly what we did. We went through competitions, we went to conferences, we went and even up to GIC, which was almost a year in the process, and we won first, which is insane.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations.
thank you.
So how did you start your journey? Did you start off by thinking about the idea, or did you already have the idea, one of you, or?
So we just knew that we wanted to do something. We had no idea what specifically. So once we found that we wanted to target this issue of managing knee osteoarthritis, we went down the line of finding issues in the current treatment. So the current method that patients have to undergo to get treatment. We looked and found flaws in the method itself. So we found that there would be a lot of wait times for people who need surgery just because people who need to get a checkup are in the clinics and they're taking up space for patients who actually need surgery or need critical care. And that's all just so that you can go to the doctor and just see a snapshot of your health. So we essentially wanted to find a way where we can eliminate the patients who are not in critical conditions from going to the doctor's office, so that once they're at home, they can manage their own treatment. And with that, we decided to create an insole, which essentially measures your walking cycle and your ankle movement so that it can detect changes in your walking cycle to monitor certain symptoms that you have that is associated with knee osteoarthritis.
Overall, we found like a lot of gaps in the way that you usually go about this sort of thing, and it's a very common thing. I mean, every person we talk to, they told us like, oh yeah, I have a loved one or I have knee osteoarthritis. So it's a very common thing, and it's really difficult to kind of go about it. And so then we created, initially it was an extremely not very furbished prototype, but through the school funding and investment from the school and just a lot of hard work and sleepless nights, we created a almost medical grade device, which can, if through the right research and medical trials, we can actually have a chance to sell as an actual alternative.
So you mentioned knee arthritis. Osteoarthritis. I'm not sure what that is. Could you just explain like what age it affects and what sort of it is?
It's when the cartilage between your knee is broken down, and it affects a lot of people over 65. It affects over 500 million people, so a lot, and especially if you're in athletics or if it also depends on genetics, which is a very key factor when it comes to who we would provide the insole to. So if you are prone to knee osteoarthritis based off of genetics, then you would wear the insole to keep track of cartilage degradation, and that way because it's once the cartilage breaks down, it's not coming back. So any preventative exercises or measures you can take is the best.
So is there like a group that is higher risk, like are athletes higher risk or are?
So it's more towards people who have a family history of knee osteoarthritis because a part of it is genetic. However, it can affect anyone. It's not, disease isn't like, it doesn't segregate between people. So it can affect anyone, but athletes have a higher risk due to wear and tear because in constant day-to-day movement, they are essentially causing friction with that cartilage. So over time it breaks down. So it can cause knee osteoarthritis as well.
Okay, that's interesting. It's a very good idea.
Thank you.
So what about your journey through the competitions? What was the first competition you ever went to, and was it successful or?
So we started off with the Global Innovation Challenge. That's the first one we decided to submit to. And through that, we initially started competing against 500 teams. And after the first stage, we won gold within our sustainable development goal, which is good health and well-being. So there were 17 goals, and we won first in good health and well-being. So the next stage of the competition was all the gold winners from each goal were put into the second round where they have to improve their project and create a new pitch. And then from there, they decided who were the top three, and we were lucky enough to get first place. So that was and we won 15,000 dirhams from
and
that.
we also did, they also put us into a very generous incubator, which was Plug and Play, which for like 2 months, 3 months, we worked with professionals and we worked with a lot of people to help, nurture our project in the business sense.
And as well from Global Innovation Challenge, we got invited to a global conference called the Sea Institute Global Conference, where essentially we just got to meet people worldwide who also care about sustainability. We got to present our project. We got to also make connections with people in the real world who can help us progress our project into making it a real product rather than it staying in an idea stage. And the last competition we decided to enter is the Dubai Science and Engineering Fair, where again we managed to present and connect with professionals and just overall gain exposure to what people think about our project and help us develop it more and further.
So do you have a prototype for your insole right now? Did you face any challenges in making it, or what was the process of that?
I mean, yeah, we definitely struggled. Like, me and Mustafa, we actually, the night before the competition, we were at his house trying to put it together because it's very technical with where wires have to go.
We were using soldering, so it was it was a lot, and things would slip out, and we'd get really frustrated.
Yeah.
We got burns, and it was...
Oh.
Yeah, so it was definitely a struggle. But at the end, we managed to finish it. Right now, the second prototype, it's still progressing to be functioning because the first prototype that we made was already functioning and we have received data and results from that.
That's amazing. So what sort of materials did you do? Sorry, I'm just so curious. What sort of materials did you use to make this insole?
So essentially, it's something called an Arduino board, which is just like a board that's able to send data to your laptop, and with the addition of a tiny piece called a module, it sends it via Bluetooth. So that essentially is connected to a foot insole map, which has pressure points, and once you apply pressure to these points, the data is sent to the Arduino board, and from the Arduino board it is sent to the laptop. And the readings can be broken down by code and become comprehensible. And as well, there's another component called a gyroscope, which is also attached to the board. And essentially, this just measures your ankle movement. So if you're leaning outwards, inwards, or you're not fully making a full step and you're limping, it can also detect that. So that's kind of the simple breakdown of what's in our insole.
And then even looking forward, we want to implement some more components, for example, something called a piezoelectric sensor we want to put on the bottom, which basically generates electricity by pressure. So essentially the insole would be powering itself rather than having to use batteries or charging.
Yeah. So you mentioned your incubator and meeting many people from the field. So do you think that helped your project further? Did it give any insight to you?
I mean, in terms of the incubator, it definitely helped us because we went into this project in a very STEM-based mindset where all we focused on was research and developing an actual prototype where we didn't really consider the business aspect of our project. So with the incubator, I feel like we all gained a different skill set that we can apply to our project. And with that, it helped our project become more well-rounded for the final stage of the competition. And also meeting people, you kind of realize the impact our project has, because there has been like numerous times where we tell someone about our project and they say, oh, well, my loved one actually has knee osteoarthritis, or like has knee pain, or they themselves also have like some kind of joint issue. So we realized like it's a lot more widespread than we originally imagined, because we went into this thinking it's like a relatively small issue, but then we went out of this like realizing it has a greater impact than any of us realized.
And building on that, more than that, we also like just meeting people more than the sort of things that they could like give to us. We really realized how much our project had a potential, because every time we'd meet with a professional, they would say things that like we would at first disregard, being like, oh, they're just trying to be polite, but it like they kept on telling us to patent it to continue on with it, and we really needed those like that mindset, because many times it got really demotivating when, for example, you wouldn't win anything, or when things just got really difficult and it felt impossible. People just kept on saying like, push through it, patent it, keep going with it. So now I think after GIC we're even gonna like continue it.
Yeah. So what are your next steps with your project?
So we're like still considering our next steps. We definitely want to continue the project. That's a non-negotiable. We all agree that we are very passionate in this, and we realize that it has a great impact. So I feel like the next step for all of us is try to continue making those connections, trying to get into the real world application of it, because right now our project is limited to competitions and conferences. We want to expand it to like real world application, trying to get in contact with industry leaders and just medical healthcare leaders. And also, thanks to GIC, we've been entered into a fast track program with Sunny Vork, which is actually the CEO of GEMS, if I'm not mistaken, and funny enough, Mr. Beast, which actually is kind of funding the whole fast track program, and as well as a Dragon's Den mentor. So Dragon's Den is like the Shark Tank version in the UK. So those three like have created this fast track program for Global Innovation Challenge winners, which we have been entered to, and we're kind of just seeing where it goes from there.
But in no way is it ready for like selling right now. We definitely are prioritizing research and building, because like our project is really complex to the point where like we can't just sell it and know that it'll work. We need to go into the field because it's so unique. We can't really depend on external research, because we need our own insole to have its own research.
So more about the business side of it. Where did you source your materials from, and what was the sort of cost of this, and if you have a projected cost of your insole, what would that be?
So we originally started with a funding from the Think Business Hub of 1,000 dirham, which we were able to develop our second insole with, and from that we just recently won the 15,000 dirham, and all of this has gone towards improving the project as a whole, and not necessarily just buying materials, but just overall trying to improve our skill sets as well for the project. It was crucial. And the insole itself, with the money we received, it costed us 850 dirhams to make, and that was buying from business to consumer sources, so Amazon and certain like tech websites where they ship products. All of the sources we got were from these websites that inflate their prices. So once we essentially scale up our project, we want to get into direct contact with manufacturers where we can reduce the cost and not rely on these business to customer sources. And this will let us reduce the cost down to estimated 425 dirham, a forecasted 50% reduction. And from there, we plan to sell it for 500 dirham. So that's considering that all our materials stay the same and we continue with this prototype. And with that, that's just a fraction of one rheumatology appointment. So a rheumatologist is the doctor you go to if you have knee osteoarthritis to like manage your condition. And just to go to one of their appointments for like a checkup without insurance is 1,000 dirham. So imagine you have this condition where it constantly like progresses. It never just stops. It constantly gets worse. So you need constant treatment. And if you go to a doctor's office for one time and you pay 1,000, how many times do you want to go to actually manage it? The costs just rack up. Whereas this insole you buy for 500 dirhams and it lasts you an entire year.
That's an amazing idea and a great project. So that's it for today's episode of the Business and Enterprise podcast. Join us next time as we meet another inspiring founder. Until then, stay
Thanks for
creative, stay
tuning in
ambitious,
to the
and keep
Business
building.
Show. Remember, every great business started with a single step and maybe a little inspiration along the way. Catch us next time where another entrepreneur reveals the highs and lows of their business journey.